Hello, everybody, and welcome to Athletic Definition. My name is Coach Ray, and today my guest is Max Hernandez. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the simulcast, in the regular broadcast, and in the audience. Truly appreciate it. Uh, Max, welcome to Fireside. How are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me on, Ray.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And today I possibly may have a Christmas pun, or I may not, but at least let me show you the outfit of the day. Today it's little candy canes and Christmas trees, and I forget what this one's called. That little I don't know if that's mistletoe. And then of course the nice jacket here, and it's been a different outfit every day. I still have a few makeup shows to do with different outfits, so we'll see how
See,
it goes with that.
that's a big problem is that I'm a minimalist, so I just throw all my clothes away. I don't have anything left to wear.
So I'm a minimalist when it comes to everything but Christmas clothes. I have about
Mm.
maybe 2 weeks of, like, let's say, workout, like run clothes, and so that I have to do wash within those 2 weeks, or like before. So, but at Christmas, I have a little storage that I keep. It's just, and it's all Christmas outfits because I have a little bit over 31 actually.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so I used it to try and bring a cheer to everybody. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Max. Man, I've known you for probably maybe a year or two now, I think. Uh, and You're a young man. You're 22 years old, so I love what you're doing. You're like on your Instagram. You have it's okay to be the weird kid or be the weird kid, and it's not trendy to, at least that's not what trends on TikTok is, like trying to be the healthy kid and so young. And sometimes it, kids will understand more, or young men coming from someone at their own age. But since you're only 22, I always like to get started. Like, when you were young, did you play sports? Were you active? Was that like something your family pushed, or it wasn't like something you really cared about?
Yeah, sports. That's how I got started with all of it. I got addicted to sports. My family got me into it, and fell in love with basketball. I played every sport though: soccer, football, baseball, whatever I could play, I was playing. Me and my cousins were always playing sports. And then as I got older, though, fell in love with basketball. And high school, had some huge aspirations of playing, college basketball. I was crazy enough to think maybe I'll play pro basketball as a 5'9" little little white guy. And turns out the universe didn't like that idea. So I ran into so many injuries in high school: ankle surgeries, wrist injuries, knee problems, back problems. It was just like I was just a weak mess. And I'd never been exposed to training the body, strengthening the body. Like, it was just, I got this pain. I'm gonna go to the doctor, and oh shit, they say I need surgery. Then I guess that's what I need to do. No one really ever exposed me to other ideas, and so eventually, yeah, now finding Ben and ATG has been the answer to all those problems. It's been beautiful to realize that our bodies are the thing. I tell myself every day is that my body is like part of the eternally regenerative universe. So that's one of my affirmations, and I truly believe that there's no, like, it's pretty bizarre to say that because I used to be in that mind frame when I was in high school where I was like, depressed because I was so it was victimizing all my injuries. Why the hell would the world do this to me? And now I'm able to look at my body and say, wow, it's amazing that we have this gift and of having a body. And it works for you. Like, if you don't work against it, it's gonna help you out with what you want to do with it. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the background with my sports and how I've got into what I'm wearing ATG today. I'm a huge fan of ATG.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't realize you had that many surgeries. So that's interesting to hear because you know you would think that I'm getting paid with it from ATG. How much I talk about it, but it's truly like you got these nagging little injuries in these places where people just forget that hey, they're part of our body, and like people are always getting hurt from their Achilles, from their knees, and it seems to be it doesn't matter what sport or even if you're just not even playing sports, your knees seem to go and like ATG is showing the way how to fix that. And it's not difficult. It's something uh, that maybe I think, in my opinion, and a lot of guys of your age wouldn't want to do because they want to get more into heavier weights, And this
Yep.
is uh, to start off. It's a lot of just body weight training, and I love it. It could be very challenging, and still is. I still throw in the zero program all the time.
Yeah, I don't miss a day of wall tibialis raises. So I don't care how weird it looks. Like you said, my motto for life is now, be the weird kid. I'm being the weird kid, and I want to encourage others to be the weird kid because when you go to the gym and you're doing legs 5 days a week, and every other guy there's taking their shirt off and doing bicep curls and flexing in the mirror, it's like you're standing out, but it's kind of beautiful because you're doing something that first of all puts you into that uncomfortable position, right, where everyone's looking at you and people are thinking thoughts about you. But I reached a point where I was like, who the hell cares, like when you really break it down, one of my favorite things to do is walk backwards through my neighborhood. And it's like when you do that shit, when you do things that people are going to look at you like, what is that kid doing, like, and you break it down and you look at what's actually happening there. It's literally just someone's thought. Like it's one person, they have a thought in their head or wherever thoughts are, and it doesn't matter. Like, not to say that I don't respect people's thoughts, but it does. How does that affect me? And I think ATG has allowed me, not only ATG, but just honestly Ben Patrick, like his mental toughness and his philosophy of living life, of being that kid that just will do whatever it takes and doesn't care what anyone's thinking, anyone's saying. Like that has had such a huge impact on me, and I think it just like radiates in my personality now because I live it and I love it.
No, yeah, Ben Patrick. There's a bunch of different guys that I could say they're mentors to me in different ways, but I seem to when I look at who they are, they're people that actually live what they're saying, and preaching. Because there's a lot of people, especially nowadays on the internet, that they're talking about it, but they're not being about it, and
Mm.
it's understandable. It's what's popular, and I see you have the professional mic and the whole thing. So I know you have a podcast. How long you been podcasting for?
Actually, my buddy just like gave me this professional mic for free, so
Nice.
I got lucky
Congrats.
there. Um, yeah, I started 3 months ago. I've just been doing one podcast a week with really focusing on interviewing ATG coaches and members of Keegan's Uncommon Success Education platform. Eventually, I will spread it out to more than just those people, but that's my focus right now. Just spreading these messages because I believe in them so much, and allowing these very wise, intelligent people to just like have the platform to dive deep because I noticed that I love deep conversations, and I I don't know, I feel like on a podcast you can just once you go for 10-15 minutes, especially when you're the one interviewing, you can kind of control a little bit where things are heading, and you can really open people up if you ask the right questions. And I just love connecting with people now. I used to be like the socially anxious kid, and I'd like not talk to any girls, and I just like I didn't have friends, and now I'm like connected with people in Tokyo, Australia, Europe. It's like it's all happening super quick, and kind of like transforming into a more open person. And the podcast is amazing for that. Mainly. I call it Upside Down Health podcast because I noticed that every new healthy habit that I find, and it kind of goes along with this being the weird kid idea, is that like it looks different, and a lot of the times the truth is going to seem upside down. It's going to seem backwards. Sometimes it's literally walking backwards, right? So it's upside down. Doesn't necessarily mean the world is flipped, but maybe there's things going on in the world that aren't like, we're not the healthiest humans that we've ever been. So it's okay to do things that are a bit upside down, and that's really what I'm attempting to expose, is to show people that it's okay to live this radically different and life that this life that people aren't living, if it means that you're healthier. One of the things I love to do is, well, at least I've been exposed to it recently, is like taping your mouth at night. So I'm not
You said taping
super,
it?
yeah, so I'm not like super this has come from some of the podcast guests that I've had on, that are like very versed in the breath. And the idea is that we are meant to breathe through our nose, really. And a lot of us are mouth breathers. So we kind of breathe through our chest. Like we're living in this socially stressed out society. Suicide is rising, depression, anxiety. It's just, things are getting worse. And most people are, they kind of take these these like short out of breath breaths. So when that becomes your automatic, you basically stay in a sympathetic sympathetic nervous system state instead of being in the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. So by nasal breathing, which is like the natural way to breathe, this is how, you know, all animals in the wild, this is how they breathe, aside from like a couple, like some dogs and stuff who are kind of mimicking humans. Like basically when you breathe through your mouth too much, your jaw can get deformed, it's just unnatural, and you get into this really unhealthy state. So the more I learned about the importance of nasal breathing, I opened up to this idea that, okay, and it seems ridiculous because it is like one of the most upside down things. You literally take this like athletic tape and you put it across your mouth at night, and what it does is it blocks the mouth from breathing. It doesn't mean you're going to suffocate. Like try it out before you go to bed to see if you die. But I've been doing it for like 5 months. Like you don't, and there's so many people that are doing it. I have some cool videos. James Nestor, the guy that wrote one of the most popular breath books, he kind of popularized it. But the idea is, yeah, you when you're sleeping, if you are a mouth breather, you're going to keep mouth breathing, and so you're going to be in this kind of this like stressed out state all night. Like, do you want to be sleeping like that? No. I mean, maybe you do, but I want to be, resting and healing. So I want to get into that parasympathetic state while I sleep. And really, we should be doing that. We should be, at least my philosophy is to be breathing through my nose as often as possible. But mouth taping at night has been huge for me. It and I know I'm kind of ranting here, but I am really passionate about this because it's since I've been exposed to it, my sleep has gone off the charts. Like I just need less sleep. It's so bizarre. I just need less sleep because I just sleep deeper, and then what else? Like my breathing throughout the day is I'm doing it through my nose more often and without thinking about it because by doing it at night, I'm kind of establishing this routine in my body. My body gets used to it. So I'm just so much more chilled out now because I'm in the parasympathetic state.
Well, I want to follow up on that because I also see you do, or you're a fan of Wim Hof, and how long you've been
Yes.
practicing that, and are you combining it with what you're doing as well?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little backstory. I was in college studying accounting, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking to you about today. That's my degree. But I was sitting there studying at night one night, and I decided to take a break, put on a podcast. I'm like actually right here, just my desk was turned around, and I had this guy Wim Hof on the London Real podcast playing. Epic podcast, by the way, like one of the most legendary ones I've ever listened to, and he did a guided session on that podcast. So I was just sitting there having no idea what this is, and I'm like following along. I'm just doing the thing. I don't even know what to expect. And then he says, "All right, hold your breath." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Holy shit, what is going on? Like, you, why am I not breathing?" And I feel my heart beating, like boom, boom, and I'm just like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "You don't need to breathe." He's like, he basically explains what's happening in your body, and if you want to learn more about it, go learn from him. Like, I'm no expert on it, but from that moment, I realized there was just something so deep about our breathing that could totally change your state. I had never been exposed to something like that. So Wim, I then dove into his work, and he exposed me to so many things: cold showers, cold walks, ice baths, um, meditation, which I'm huge on now. But it was really that one night from Wim, and I've. It's funny because there are almost everybody that talks about the breath has a very similar story to what I just shared. Wim Hof, like Wim Hof is he's the guy that he's doing some amazing things. And now I use Wim. I have a lot of different breathing techniques that I use for different purposes, but Wim I like to use before podcasts. I didn't get to do it before this one because I was running late. I was running from the city. I had just hung out with my buddy, but I like to do it before podcasts because it kind of gets me into this really more spiritual state. I think we're more connected with my like the deeper parts of me, and more connected with my body, and just like stress free, and so I can just go deep into whatever topic it is. And it seems like the other people on the call can go deeper too, because that energy just kind of vibrates and radiates.
Yeah, I'm into Winhof, and it's so easy to practice, but I gotta say I'm not doing it. I need to go back to it, because really you just need to make
Mm,
that time. You can do it at home, sitting down or laying down, and uh, I use a combination of all kinds of different things, breathing techniques as well. Um,
mm.
I learned about it like through martial art books, talking about fire breath, and then also in jujitsu, there's, uh, I think his name's Rick's. Oh man, I'm going to
Rickson
butcher.
Gracie.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
the Gracie family is like the big jujitsu family.
yeah, they're and now, see, every time I'm doing my podcast, it's like automatic that I blank on everything that I know. Like I just blank. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that name. I know that movie. I know the documentary. I always talk about it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, what's his name? Oh yeah, what's that movie?
I've
But
watched
I
one video about him. I have no idea who he is, but Keegan Smith posted a video about his Ricks and Gracie's breath work, and yeah, it's pretty intense.
oh yeah, he's going into like rivers in the cold, breathing in
Yeah,
there, doing that breath, and then yeah, it's so interesting. I love that, and
there's a
I
story
know.
about
Uh,
him that there's a story about him where I guess I've watched more than one piece of content about him, but he like when he was a little kid wrestling as a jujitsu, he was like 12 and everybody was like 18 or 19, and someone took him down and he got so he was pinned down and he didn't want to let go. He didn't want to give into it, but he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to survive because it was a new position that he'd never been put in. And so he tapped out, and he went home and he's thinking about it. He's so pissed off about it. Why would I tap out like that? And he's like I need to overcome this fear of, you know, what is it called? Claustrophobia or whatever. Like
huh.
you're in that tight space. So he had his brother wrap him up in a rug, tight, like arms like this, feet through, rolled him up in the rug, and he sat in there outside in the heat. It was like 100 degrees for like 10 minutes. Like, could have died in there. And he did it a couple times, he said. But anyway, that kind of actually, it's funny. I like when I heard that, I was like, I got to do something like that. That kind of sounds like something I would do. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
to
just a little
me,
side story.
what was fascinating about him is I knew of him before, prior. I've seen a lot of his fights. So before UFC, there was something called like, see now I can't the Valley Tudo, I believe it's called Valley
Mm,
Tudo, and it was like the first MMA, and that guy I don't believe he ever lost, and you yeah like 100 fights or something he never lost. Like he's
mm,
like probably the best of all the Gracies, and when you have some guy who's like never lost and such a basically badass, and then you find out he's like breathing and doing breathing techniques, and you're like, oh, okay, like there's something to it, it's like, oh, like why is he doing this, at
mm.
least that's the way I look at it. I'm like, it's the top guy. Well, he must know something. He's connecting. He a lot of nature stuff. So yeah, he's a
Yeah,
fascinating guy. And
it's very interesting.
since you used to play basketball, are you playing any sports right now? Any leagues or anything like that?
No, so my pains in my body had never really left me until I joined ATG, and um, actually trained ATG for a while, but as a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people run into this problem where they're just it's not working for them, right? So something's not working for them, but it's not the program. And I'm not here to say that ATG is this dogmatic perfect place, but Ben and the guys and everybody who's helped develop that system, it is remarkable. So theoretically, it should work for almost everybody if you have legs that work. But it wasn't working for me, right? It worked for a little bit and then started running into some regressions and some problems, and it was up here. It was all mental. There were definitely some physical components that I wasn't exactly doing the right way, following the way that they suggest. But sometimes you have to, I realized, like, let things work for you and stop forcing everything. And so it's almost like this power versus force concept. Like, you want to be in power, you don't want to be forcing your life to happen. So I was forcing this program and I wasn't working it. It was only until I was really exposed to the idea to just kind of let it happen that I started to. I've been having success lately since about June of this year, so the last 6 months. Um, and I still have niggles and injuries and things like that. So I'm not. I'm actually avoiding all sports right now. I do. I go rucking sometimes. Just kind of hikes and stuff like that. But before, I would not have been able to handle that without ATG.
What's rucking?
Rucking is where you just put like 30, 40 pounds. Some people put like 80 pounds in their backpack and you just kind of walk through nature, go up hills, down hills. It's a good leg workout. I've just been exposed to it recently, and it's like it kind of falls in line with ATG because you're getting a lot of blood flow in the legs, and it's a good mental exercise too. So that's the only kind of sport I'm doing. I love basketball. I love playing tennis, sand volleyball in the summer. Um, I mean, every game, whatever it is. But I made a bet with myself to just avoid it all for like a couple of years. To say, just train, just do training, and because I don't want to risk hurting myself, and I don't think I'm ready yet to be back because I still have a lot of strength gains to be made, but yeah, I will one day be back on the court. How about you? What kind of sports do you play? I know you
I
run.
mean, yeah, I run. I'm getting ready for LA Marathon, and that's like
Epic.
2 months away. And I've been honestly using ATG to run less because I just finished LA Marathon because of the whole COVID. They had it in November, so I just finished number 55, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to run as much right now, so I'm doing more ATG to supplement that, and then now I really got to start putting in the miles because you can't. There's nothing you can do to duplicate the actual running, so I have to start running more. But I'll continue to use the ATG and trying to better my times. I play basketball, but I haven't really played much recently, and the Nike basketball 3-on-3 tournament that I play in, usually every year has been canceled for the last two because of COVID. So this year they're planning to have it finally. So I'm looking forward to that. It's an outdoor event anyway. So right outside, uh, it's no longer Staples Crypto.com. It's right outside there. It's like
Okay.
in downtown Los Angeles. It's a fun event. They have like from like guys that didn't quite make it in the NBA, you know, playing against each other, and then they have like three different divisions, women, and then do jujitsu, and that kind of also during COVID took a pause as well. But I'm looking to.
Mm,
I've been training a little bit more here and there, but looking forward to trying to compete once again in that in 2022. And
awesome.
yeah, so I like to do a variety. I mean, there's other things I like to do for just for fun. I love hiking. There's yeah, hiking to me is like such a place where I could just go and unplug from everything basically. Because
It's
I
almost
used to
like
just,
plugging in though too. Like that's how I think of it, right? Like you're just getting back into your true nature.
yeah, because to me, like in the city, you're like trying to block out all the bombardment of all the noise. And when you're in nature, you do want to plug into the nature sounds. Like there's something about hearing. Hopefully, there's a nice little water flowing. You can hear water flowing, birds chirping, the wind flowing. You know, things like that. That'll just it's good for the mind. Good while you're hiking to relax you.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I usually I didn't have a chance this year, but you know how Instagram shows you your past. I think for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been in the mountains, like ending the year on a nice hike, except today.
Mm.
So I still got time. We'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take those Christmas jackets out there and do a little Christmas hike.
And I see for everyone joining, thank you. We have your YouTube channel on there. What do you do on your YouTube channel? Is that like a part of your podcast or something different?
Yeah, so the link is just to my podcast playlist. I haven't quite yet started publishing them on like Apple Music or Spotify, so that's the only place people can find it. I like plan. I started a YouTube channel at the beginning of this year. So, like I said, I graduated with an accounting degree, and I basically decided to not do that. And the only thing I knew was, okay, I'm gonna try to start a YouTube channel, and maybe I'll make it on YouTube. That was my thought process before I found ATG for Coaches in March. So from January to March, I made YouTube videos and started cleaning my life up. I sold, you know, I sold all the clothes that I own, all the objects. Pretty much, I got it down to very, very minimal stuff. And then I found this community of coaches, and so that kind of like totally changed the trajectory of where I was going. But meanwhile, I've been making a YouTube video every week. That was like the goal for 2021. I was just making whatever my mind can think of. So it mainly focused on like personal development stuff, breath work, and meditation. Recently, started doing some more ATG stuff. So the goal is to, my main three things that I talk about is productivity, nutrition. So like anything similar to nutrition and energy kind of things. So I will talk about breath work and things like that too. And then ATG. So I'm gonna make ATG reviews of each program that I had to go through. Uh, I have a zero review on that. I'm working on a dense review. I'm currently on standard, so I'll post reviews there. And then the goal for 2022 is to create one YouTube video a week, more so getting into more of the aesthetically pleasing videos. I'm going to get good at video editing and creating more pleasing videos, create cool presentations. Not sure exactly where it's going yet, but I do have goals to write blogs and to present on YouTube in some fashion, and then I post all my podcasts there. So it's kind of in the making. It's not. It's not. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what it is, but it's evolving as I do, and that's kind of. I think that's the fun of the game.
No, that's great. I mean, you always got to keep learning, and with the way technology is just turning so fast, I know every day I'm tuning into, well, what is this and how can I do that? And yeah, right now I took a venture into the whole meta universe, and I'm creating my NFT website, and I'm stuck because I don't know HTML. I got really far, and I got it up, and I just can't figure out some things. And there's I've searched in and out, and there's no one really posting how to do it because no one's really done it. You know, it's like,
Mm,
so it's a, but it's an interesting process, and I know I'm ahead of the game. But by the time most people, I think they're talking, it'll be like 10 years before the whole people turn into the basically Internet 3, which we're all right now. What everyone's using is called Internet 2, basically like
yeah.
2.0. Yeah. So I'm just trying to learn, and basically I'm trying to do athletic definition, which is
Mm,
the name of this podcast, into a website. But I thought it was going to be easier, and it it's not. It's not. I have 3 days trying to research how to figure it out, but it's
okay.
fun. Yeah,
Sounds like you
yeah.
might need to get a. I mean, I'm sure you can do it your own, but might be helpful to reach out to some. Yeah, that's kind of a thing I've learned. It's like just go to Best Buy and go talk to people. That's like you can learn so much from someone in 10 minutes if they know what they're talking about versus like trying to Google
Oh
search
yeah.
everything, It's
And also to
yeah.
me, it's important that they're trustworthy, and I loved just everyone that I've met through ATG, all the coaches. Like when you meet those guys, it's like a group of meeting of coaches from all over the world that have been doing it or have questions, and everyone can like try and answer. And like there's so much experience with all the coaches. I don't think I've, and I'm part of a bunch of different like groups and Facebook groups and running groups, and my
Mm,
kettlebell training certification group and my US track and field group. But I don't think I get more information on a variety of, like, from wrist injuries to elbows to like neck. You could like put anything in that group, and oh yeah, here, this is what you could try. You could helpful, knowledgeable, and ranging from all kinds of things. So to me, it's been such a cool resource. You're the third ATG person I've had on here. I've had one coach, but just people training ATG. I'm trying to
did you
kind of
have
spread that
Stewart
out
on
there.
here?
I had Coach Stewart on here as well, and I had a Luke who does like crazy basketball
Oh,
tricks.
Lucas Beer Test. Yeah, he's a legend. Both of those guys. I love those
I
guys.
had him on here when there was no video, so I sent him a message.
Okay.
I want to have him back on, and maybe he can do some basketball tricks live. Like that would be cool because he can do some. He's doing like, what are those things called where you walk? It's not tightrope, but it's kind of like it because you can put it
Not
anywhere.
sure.
Oh well, he does that. He's walking on tightrope like things with a basketball, and then he'll just like throw it up, and he'll make it. I'm like, it's pretty all out.
It's pretty insane. There's no one like him online. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and so, but you are my well, you're the second youngest person I've had on the podcast. But I see what you're doing, and that's what I'm trying to do: spotlight young people and a variety of people, not just young, but that need to get spotlighted because they're trying to do things. They're not spreading like dumb messages, like bad challenges, bad things that aren't productive for society.
Mm,
Everything you post, you're just trying to do good through your podcast. So definitely wanted to bring you on. And yeah, I think the youngest person I had on here was Laura, and she was a 18 years old who played bas pelota, and she's like from France but represents the U.S. And so,
interesting.
but you are the youngest male, so we'll see if it gets broken. But you're setting records here.
I love it. I appreciate all the nice talk and compliments, but yeah, it's just nice to have a place to talk and just actually throw my ideas out live versus kind of trying to script them out and tell the world this is who I am versus like there's more authenticity when it's just live and I'm not going to just BS anybody like just share from the heart, you know.
Yeah, if it wasn't for live, then I would probably be more uptight because then I'd be like, I know I have to edit this. There's a
Yeah.
and I have to edit it. But this was like people hopefully understand that what they're watching is a live video, and now I just I'm getting more. This is new to me too. I've been doing it for this will be well. Let's see here. I got access here on Fireside. I'm looking at my profile in May. And when I got access, I was kind of like a deer in the headlight, kind of like I'm not sure what this is. I don't really know. And then I just kind of did a show with my two friends, and that was like okay. Now that I got that out of the way, I just kind of ran with it. And then my first podcast episode that I put it out is in June. So really, I don't even have 6 months doing this. But so it's
Cool.
a interesting ride, and like you said, you learn a lot about yourself. It's a great journey. If I hope you continue with it.
It's just such an easy way to connect with people and what's funny is no one's going to turn down a podcast. I mean, some people will, but everyone loves to talk about themselves. So usually if you ask someone to come on, like, it's you have a nice platform now to connect with people that otherwise might not have the right to be speaking to.
Well, and there is different types of podcasts. Like this podcast is always just spotlighting my guest and their fitness journey and what
Gotcha.
they've gone through. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's other podcasts where people don't want to come on because they don't get to, I guess, like you said, be it's all about them. But I get motivated and inspired, and I know a lot of inspirational people, in my opinion, that have these stories that I've, go back to listen to my 60 some podcasts I've had, like people that have diabetes, people that have lost weight, people that are blind, surfing
Mhm.
champions. I've had past Olympians. I've had a lot of people, that they're just trying to, how they say on the news, people won't tune in and to that type of news. Well, I'm going to keep going, trying to bring on those type of guests till people figure out, hey, there's someone trying to spread some positivity
People don't
and
like the news anymore. So I
no,
think
no, they
I mean they
don't.
watch it, but they're getting sick of it. So there does need to be a new media, and that's kind of what social media is. But social media can also get toxic if you don't know how to use it. So I think you're exactly spot on. Podcasts and audiobooks and audio and video is like, I mean, audio I think is the big wave that's coming next, and you seem to be kind of ahead of the game here. So I'm all in on what you're doing.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's changing so rapidly. Like Facebook now, to compete, they have an actual podcast. Like it's called RSS. That's what you need. It's like to have a podcast.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
so they actually have one where you can put it on Facebook. And when I found out about it, I'm like, well, I'm gonna put it on right away because that's another platform. So
Yep.
everyone's just jumping into it. And like, I got a message from TikTok the other day. They're like, we'd love to know about your podcast experience. And I'm like, oh, like they don't have podcasts, but that means everything that they ask me makes it sound like they're interested in getting in that game because they know
Mm,
like that's where it's at. So
mm.
I was honored that they even just send me a little message. I'm like, oh, and they're like, and if we select you to have a meeting, would you like to have a one-on-one? I'm like, hell yeah, you guys pay creators. I'll meet with you guys. Let's see what we could do. So yeah, I mean, to get paid to spread like positivity would be the ultimate goal, and it'd be like so crazy. And hopefully you're watching the beginning journey. But yeah, so far podcasting has been great, and I get to meet a lot of other great coaches and just people training and hear different knowledge and perspectives. And like I didn't hear about that taping. I don't know if I would do it, but I understand the whole method because yeah, like we have like three different like we're not breathing from I think it's like three lungs. Well, most people are just like from the first one. So, but you can go all the way to the bottom one. That's where you should be
The
breathing.
diaphragm, yeah, like the
Yeah.
diaphragm is like it's the breathing muscle, and I mean you'll have to watch videos on YouTube about how to use it, but really it's something I recently learned is that it's not only like breathing, like when you breathe through the diaphragm, your belly should be going kind of expanding a little bit, and not your chest. So one of the hacks you can use is like you put your hand on your chest, on your upper chest, and then you put your other hand on like your lower belly, down below, kind of near your belly button. And if you were to lay on your back and start breathing, the lower hand should be rising and the upper hand should not be moving. So that would be straight up just diaphragmatic breathing, and that's step zero of breath work. Lay on your back, learn how to use your diaphragm muscles, and once you kind of connect with that, that's to me that's the ticket. I've heard some people say like the breath is the first thing you do when you enter the world. It's the last thing you do before you leave. It's always with you, and yet we don't really think about its importance. It's the most interesting thing is that it connects you to the parasympathetic state, which is what I was talking about earlier. But just by bringing attention to it, like even right now, if I just focus on when I'm not talking, breathe through my nose, I'll stay calm. And that's available all day, 24/7. Like it's gold. It's literally gold. If you ever anybody that tries breath work, they stick with it because they actually experience what it's like to enter these different states and to feel the feelings. It's like Wim Hof says, get high on your own supply. That's
I
it's
was just
better
about to
than
say that.
drugs, right?
Yeah, I love that line. He's like, this is where people came up with get high off your own supply. And
I mean, let's do it.
I wanted also to, are you just training yourself or are you actually coaching people or
Hmm.
is there any, like, if people want to contact you also, how can they do that?
Sure. So thought at the beginning of this year when I joined A Teaching for Coaches, I thought I was going to be a personal trainer. I spent some time training people and I actually really enjoyed it. But then I started thinking that maybe that's not exactly what I want. I wasn't loving it. Wasn't necessarily a huge passion. I still enjoy the training component, but kind of this nutrition, this you know, being someone who suffered with not necessarily suffered. I wouldn't call it suffering. I mean, maybe that's a more negative way of looking at it, but I dealt with it. I guess depression, suicidal thoughts in college. Uh, just anxiety, stress. That's what I've suffered through, or whatever whatever verb I'm going to use, and that's the problem I would like to help people with the most. I see way too many kids depressed, just addicted to toxic things, like they're letting the comparison game on social media destroy them. They're feeding their bodies these nutriently just inadequate foods, things out of boxes where we've navigated away from whole foods and into this, every aisle that's in the middle of the store instead of the outsides of the supermarket. That's where the real food is. But now we have a store that's 90% fake food that just hasn't been available to your ancestors for the last 90, or I mean the 99% of our existence, more than that. So your body isn't like designed evolutionarily to eat these modern, what Keegan Smith calls like Franken foods. They're fake, they're not real. And personally, I've experienced, the transition of going to a more animal based diet, eating, nutrient dense foods, So that's a big message that I'm spreading with the world because I believe that it's a key component of mental health and to solve that depression and suicide problem. Because most people don't link those two together. That oh wait, you mean I'm sad and maybe what I'm eating has something to do with that? I didn't I didn't know that could happen. So there's no one's really 90% of people don't even think about that. 90% of people don't even think about the fact that when you get sick with COVID, maybe you should eat good foods. You know, it's not even a thought. So I'm trying to show people that there is a connection, and I'm trying to expose the truth to people by interviewing people on my podcast, and that's a huge goal of mine to grow the podcast and just keep making connections. And then the final thing, aside from ACG and nutrition, is I mentioned it earlier, productivity. So I've really benefited from following Ben Patrick's productivity challenge, which is, if anybody hasn't heard of it, it's basically no entertainment. Uh, and Ben's done this for years before. So I was exposed to this when I was in a darker spot with my training, as I mentioned earlier, in about April, and I committed to his challenge. So my rules were, no TV, no Netflix, no movies, no useless scrolling on social media, no music with lyrics. So I only listen to classical music. No porn. This is one that might, bother some people, but no masturbation. Something that I'm kind of exposing now that I think could help a lot of young boys who are wasting their energy in ways that they could be using it better. No cheat meals. So I'm all in on this kind of deny yourself the pleasure to, you know, recognize the pleasure down the road kind of mentality. So I did that for the remainder of all of 2021 since then, and my life has pretty much 10x in terms of happiness, emotional stability, strength, every possible component you can think of, relationships. I just keep upgrading and enjoying life more. So that I actually gave a presentation about my experience and started a group chat where I kind of encouraged other people to do similar things. The entry barrier was like, very low. Just you can even pick one of them and let's test it out for a month. And so we've grown to like 50 members. We all on Telegram. It's called Productivity Paradise. It's just a small group that I run. I send messages and questions in to keep people accountable, and it's kind of just the place for like it's like heaven for me because it's productivity. It's every day people are sending in like hacks for like one of the coolest one was like on your laptop you can increase your mouse speed. You can like change the scrolling speed because like we're navigating on these laptops all day, right? Yet like our mouses move very slowly. So if you can actually speed that up, you kind of like you get really fast and you can change the scrolling and stuff. I never thought I'd be like into this stuff, but like I'm really developing a passion for it, and it's kind of a way for me to help people with the mental health stuff too. Because when you're really not focused on all these toxic dopamine addicting modern addictions and modern things that are just kind of these, they're hard things to deal with, and it's okay to recognize that. But when you're not dealing with that and you can focus on yourself and kind of hone your message, it's such a beautiful thing to tap into that creative side. So that is a place where, if someone's interested, definitely reach out to me on Instagram at Max H Freedom. Send me a DM and I can get you kind of started with all the how to get started in the group chat. I can put you in the Telegram chat. YouTube is Max Freedom. Medium is Max H Freedom as well. So I'd write blog posts and stuff. And I think that's all the places for now.
Cool. And for everyone in the audience, I do have Max's YouTube, so you could just click on the fortune cookie. And just to give a little bit more insight, and then I'll close out. Yeah, that challenge, I heard about it this year. It's basically like no fun, whatever you consider fun, Monday through Friday. And if
Yeah.
that breaks down to, I think, 104 days of the year, which are the weekends for you to have fun and do
Yeah.
what you want to do. And when you think about it in a productivity way, and you really want results, or you just want to, twiddle your thumbs, as the old expression goes, like, yeah, like, what do you prefer, to have a good 2022, or you just want to bullshit yourself again? Basically, it's not
Hmm.
easy. I'm thinking about maybe doing one and seeing how that goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank
I
you
think
so
the
much for
Monday through
joining.
Friday is a great idea that Ben put out there because most people don't want to just commit to throwing their whole life down the drain like some of us crazy ones.
Yeah, but then when you hear 104 days of me doing whatever I want, that's actually pretty
That's
good, you know?
that's a lot of days.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me, Max. I really appreciate it. Thank you for trying out Fireside. Now that you have access, you're more than welcome to come on in anytime and be part of the whole Fireside. There's always different chats, and you can always apply to be a creator as well.
Amazing, amazing experience. I love the music at the start. Really, and even this platform with the live people listening in. It's totally different experience. So I think you're definitely onto something here, and I really appreciate you having me on. I'm really grateful that you're noticing the message that I'm putting out, and I love the message that you got going right now with this daily effort. And yeah, I really appreciate all the questions you asked as well. I think you allowed me to go to some places in my mind that I didn't really know. So thank you a lot.
Thank you. And once again, thank you, buddy, for tuning in. This has been Merry Fitness, day 28 out of 31. Today with our guest, Max Hernandez. My name is Coach Ray Z. I got a few more to go, so I might be back today. All right. Thank you, everybody. Till next time.